Hey everyone, this is the Comic Book Fan 25. Um, I'm back now. I was on a bit of a hiatus because I was at camp, so now I'm back and making more videos. And I thought I'd get out my review of the new latest James Bond movie, Skyfall, because I saw it a while ago. No, not a while ago, just before I went to camp. I've been really wanting to get my thoughts on this movie. You might not know, I am a pretty big fan of James Bond, and this movie is sincerely awesome, and I'm gonna tell you why. Now, spoiler alert, okay? I'm gonna spoil a lot of things, so if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to turn the video off, or if you have, then by all means, keep watching the review. What did I love about it? Okay, well, just start off. Daniel Craig, always great as James Bond. He's one of my favorites, and if not for him, I don't think I could have remained a fan of Bond. He's just a really good James Bond. You know, he is charming, he's funny, he's a badass. You know, he's got and just the acting in general in the movie was really good. Just just good, just amazing. And so sorry, I was just checking uh, statuses. Anyways, I think that the movie, what it does really well is it balances the action and plot and just all of that is just really good. I just really love that. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry about that. I was just a little busy, but I'm trying to make this review. Where was I? Yeah, I think it balances action and plot and everything about the movie. The cinematography was really beautiful. I think it was awesome. Directing was good. I like Sam Mendes. I think he's pretty good. I like some of his movies like American Beauty. And I wasn't sure what to think of him as a director for James Bond. I wasn't really sure, but he did a great job, and he put a lot of levity to the film. There was a lot of funny bits, and I was really happy to see them. It made the film, a whole lot more enjoyable. And the song by Adele, I mean, this is probably what people are talking about. Great song. It really fit the movie. It fit the tone. I love Adele, and I think she did a really good job for Bond. And I love her song. I do love her other songs a bit more, but I like this one in uh, adjacent to the Bond film. It was really good. It fit the tone. It fit the movie. And now to get down to the nitty gritty. This movie makes a lot of references to the original Bond movies, and I love that. I just absolutely love that. I just love it, when they, make nods to the old film. It's just so, so refreshing, to see that they still remember the old movies. And yeah, it's really nice to know that they still care. The references like when Bond says "for your eyes only" and the car. Oh God, the car! The car was awesome. I just really loved it, and I think it's very much a movie that pays a lot of respect to Bond, especially since it's his 50-year anniversary, 50th, celebrating 50 years, which the first official Bond movie, Doctor No, came out in 1962, and 50 years later, Skyfall's out. Yeah. So, 50 years. Quite an achievement for a franchise. And I think get down to the story. I love how it focuses a lot more on M, and we get to learn a lot more about her, and not to forget, we learn a lot more about Bond too. I like how he had retired, and then he came out of retirement, and he's a little rusty at first, and it shows that Bond is very vulnerable. And what was even better is when we visit Bond's home in Scotland. because I read the Young Bond novels. I read Silverfin, and it looked exactly like it did in Silverfin, the graphic novel. And it was just beautiful, and I love how we learn about his parents. These are things I never thought we'd learn about James Bond in the movies, ever. And this movie did it. And that's something I'm really proud of it for doing. I owed it for doing that. And what I like is how it explores the relationship between Bond and M. It shows that they kind of have that, mother-son kind of relationship. And from the moment, I kind of understood their relationship at first, like in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, she doesn't really like him, she thinks he's irresponsible, and she kind of acts like she hates him. I knew that secretly, she did care for him a lot because she took care of him. And in a lot of ways, she's kind of like Bond's Alfred, she takes care of him, keeps him in line, and I think that's something really, that's a really good thing. And here's his and no yeah and I think we should get down to the characters. I think Eve Moneypenny, the M secretary, or soon to be, and Q, who's Bond's quartermaster, supplies him with all the gadgets. They're in the movie, and I love that. This movie clearly understands that we need more Bond characters, traditional Bond characters, and it does that beautifully. I have no problem. Now, for some people, I have no problem with Eve Moneypenny being black. That's really stupid. And I liked her as a black woman. And I had no problem with Q being a lot younger. That actually gives him a lot of character, a lot more character. Not to say that the original Q didn't have character. He had a character. I just like this one. He's young, brash, and a little arrogant. So, Bond kind of has to deal with that. And it's a very personal movie to Bond. It's a lot more about him. It's a lot more about M. And I think finally we should get down to the villain, played by Javier Bardem, who I love. And in the movie, I'll be honest, when he first shows up, I couldn't take him seriously. He was making jokes, he was laughing, and I could get past the blonde hair, but he was just making jokes. I couldn't take him seriously at first. But I still loved him, regardless of that, and he became a lot more intimidating, later on. But at first, I just found him a little comedic. That's not bad. I kind of like that. It makes him charming. And I think he's a great Bond villain. Looking at past Bond villains, I think he's my favorite Bond villain. At least one of them. And I like how his beef is not with Bond, it's with M for once. And his plan to, take down M16 from the very inside. And what else? Um, Also, hold on a sec. Also, how he's a villain that's hidden in the shadows. So, that's something interesting. You don't no one knows that he's the villain. Normally M16 would know who the villains are because of their ethnicity and because of their nation, or it's a country. This time, it's just one man, and that's something I really like. And the theme of the movie, which is basically old versus new, how the old ways and the new ways, which one is better. I liked that because not only was it good to fit the tone of the film, it also fit the tone of how, this is a new Bond movie. This is the new Bond, but it makes a lot of references to the old Bond. And kind of goes back to the traditional way of making a Bond movie, while still remaining a more darker and realistic take on the Bond character. And yeah, and I think that was really good. So the story is very well structured. What else? Yeah, the villain, Mr. Silva was his name. I just like how his beef is with M, because he was once an M16 agent, and he was treated unfairly by M, and she ultimately crossed the line, and it kind of makes him and Bond, kind of kind of sympathize toward each other, because while Bond does, love M like a mother secretly, he does kind of have his fair share of hate for her because he thinks she's a bit of a bitch. and but he can get past that. Mr. Silva, or I'm just gonna call him Silva. Silva can't get past that, and he wants to kill M. And his beef is not with Bond. I mean, obviously, he thinks Bond is more like just an annoyance that he needs to get out of the way, but definitely a hard one to get out of the way. Yeah, and I just think that the movie, the villain is really is really cool. Hero is really cool, and just I love the characters, in all the movie, the story, and the ending was beautiful. Now here's a spoiler: how M dies, and that scene when she dies and she's in Bond's arms, and Bond starts crying. Beautiful performance from Daniel Craig. He really made it believable. And you really felt the pain with him. And it was sad to see her go, but all good things must come to an end, and it further solidified their relationship as kind of like that mother and son kind of figure, which shows that Bond is very emotional, and even though he hides his emotions, sometimes he can't help but express them. And he's kind of changed in a way. Now he doesn't really hold his emotions back as much, and I think the movie, it's really emotional, the movie. And that's something Sam Mendes, I think, did really well with directing. And what else? So yeah, her death was very tragic, and Bond was shown to be a lot more vulnerable, and I really like that. And Ralph Fiennes, who was in the movie, I love Ralph. I like Ralph Fiennes a lot, and him being the new M, I can't wait. I can't wait to see him more as M. I'm pretty sure he'll be a great M. And and the ending of the movie kind of looks like the traditional Bond movie. Even the set. So it shows, that this movie has a lot of respect for the old Bond films, while it still remains, a standalone film with a great story, great characters, and beautiful execution of the story. I'm sorry, I mean, I don't normally do so many in-depth reviews, and I've been studying in-depth reviews, and I read them really well. I mean, this is a movie that I really like to go in depth talking about, and the gadgets that Bond gets, like the palm print gun, that's recorded to own his palm print so he can fire it. That was pretty cool, and the small radio. Now, these are start-out gadgets, so they're not exactly the gadgets you normally see Bond with, though I'm not sure if you ever will, because this is a more realistic Bond. You may not, who knows, but they'll be a lot more grounded. But hopefully we'll see them in the sequels. I mean, we know this movie's going to get some sequels. Even at the end says James Bond will return. And I hope Daniel Craig comes back, because Daniel Craig has really, done a great job as Bond. And I think, he's just really, he's one of my favorites, next to Sean Connery. And yeah, and I think the movie does a lot of this really well. The movie is just it's fantastic. It's enjoyable. It's a serious movie, but it has a lot of, it has a lot of levity to it. Great characters, great story, just everything about the movie. It further solidified me as a Bond fan. Sometimes I might think, am I a Bond fan? This movie, after watching it, I just thought, yeah, I'm a Bond fan, all right. And yeah, and what else do I have to say? I just think Bond and M's relationship was really well established. They were more to each other than we thought, and the villain was a lot more interesting than other Bond villains. So, oh, and the Bond girl. This is a bit of a spoiler. Bond doesn't necessarily have a Bond girl. He has one at the beginning, but she gets killed. So Bond doesn't necessarily have a Bond girl except for Eve Moneypenny, whom he flirts with a lot, which is kind of a nice callback to how he flirts with her in the old films. So yeah, I really love this movie. I'll definitely watch it again. I'm not sure if I'll watch it again in cinemas. Maybe, maybe not. And I'm definitely gonna buy it when it comes out on DVD. I know my friends saw it before me and they loved it, and I just love the movie too. It's just a really good movie. It's really fun. It's it's a Bond movie, and it's got that going for it. And wow, I think that's it. So yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I really did. I can't wait till it comes out on DVD. I think, just the wind here. I just think everything about it is awesome. And I can't wait to get it out. And I think it's one of the best Bond films ever made. Sincerely. And yeah, I think that's it. So if you haven't seen Skyfall yet, go watch it. If you're a Bond fan, you're gonna love it. It depends on what kind of Bond fan you are, but if you're a real fan of the traditional Bond movies, the old cliches, that's another thing. The shaken, not stirred, that he always orders. I love how it's really subtle. Like, instead of him saying that, it just shows the woman shaking the drink, and then Bond says, "Stop. That's perfect." And I like that. It's a very subtle way of doing the whole shaken, not stirred. And yes, he does say the name's Bond, James Bond. So yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I really liked. I love the callbacks to the old Bond films. The movie is, overall a real Bond movie. And yeah, so if you haven't seen it, go give this movie a watch. It's worth your time. Okay, thanks for watching my review. I'm glad to be back. And I'll be posting my Deadpool episode near Christmas. So maybe on the 23rd or 4th. Who knows? I'll sort it out later. But yeah, that's my review of Skyfall. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Laters.